So this is what I call the cold calling paradox. You see, we know that cold calling your ideal client avatars directly is by far the fastest way to get clients. We know that for sure. It's the fastest way to make money as a real estate agent, faster than anything else. We know it's the most profitable way of lead generation. There's no hard cost. You're investing your time, you're not investing any money. And we know that it produces the best clients. Why? It's because you get to decide who it is that you're calling. Unlike every other lead generation strategy out there, you have no idea who's responding to your marketing, to your advertising, to your content, to your social media, to your email. You have no idea. And so with cold calling, you get to decide on who it is that you're talking to, which produces the best clients. Now, here's the problem. The problem is, for most of you, every time you call a prospect, it's like an uphill battle just to see if you can help somebody. That's what's crazy. You mustered up the courage to finally pick up the phone, call a prospect in a neighborhood in which you want to serve, just to get somebody on the other end who's upset, who's maybe defensive, they're skeptical of why are you calling me? And prospects, you know this, they never tell you the truth. They tell you they're not interested. And then next day you look in the MLS and there they are, listed with another agent. They tell you they are interested just to extract information from you and get you to do free consulting. And they're not interested. They tell you they have an agent when they don't. They tell you they do when they don't, right? They're always, always, always lying to you. Now, if we don't get this right, if we can't figure this out, and this meaning, how do we convert selling over the phone? How do we figure out how to effectively pick up the phone and generate leads and high quality appointments? If we can't figure that out, then it's likely that you're going to have to do something else to get clients, of course. You might have to start sitting in open houses every weekend. You might have to start buying leads that just don't convert that well. You might have to start begging your friends and family for business. You might have to be a buyer's agent on some prick team leader's team that you don't want to do. But when you start to implement the technique I'm going to teach you in just a second, number one, prospects will stop being upset that you called. In fact, I've had many agents that I coach that after they start implementing what I'm about to teach you, have had prospects actually thank them for cold calling them. Number two, you will never get another objection for the rest of your career. Number three, prospects will ask you to follow up with them rather than you begging and chasing prospects. And number four, prospects will start inviting you to come meet with them. You don't have to twist their arm. You don't have to beg to come over. You don't have to bullshit them and say, hey, I'm going to be in your area on Thursday. Why don't I stop? You don't have to do any of that stuff. If you do this right, prospects will start to invite you to come to their home. They'll start inviting you to come over to show them what you can do to sell their home. So let me introduce you to the push versus pull technique. Now, everything I'm going to cover in this video, you can find in the link in the description. You can download my new script book that has all the different language patterns, all the different techniques in action so that you can start using them today. You can grab a copy of that right now. There's a link in the description. All right, so let's start off by talking about what is selling. What is it actually? Well, if you really look at what's happening here, you have a prospect who is in their current situation. In our case, we sell real estate services. So we have prospects in their current situation, in their current home, and people that move do it because they want to get into a new desired situation. So that might be that they want something bigger, they want something smaller, they're relocating, they just had a baby, they just had a divorce, they, et cetera, et cetera. Something happened in their life that caused them to change their situation. So if you think about what actually is selling, it's our ability to affect change as much as possible. So we are the ones who help people facilitate change in their life. That's all selling is. Selling is the implementation of something new in a prospect's world. And so why do we start with this? Because we have to understand, why do people change? In other words, why do they sell? Why do they move? And the reality is, they do it for their own reasons. They don't do it for your reasons. And most agents are screwing this up. This right here is the reason why you have so much trouble with cold calling. It's why you get objections. It's why you piss people off. It's why you rub people the wrong way. It's why you can't effectively convert. It's why you can't get appointments. It's why you can't get leads. And so let me show you exactly what I mean. So rather than try and give your reasons why somebody should move and why you think they should sell and why you think they should buy and why you think they should write an offer and why you think they should accept an offer and why you think they should meet with you, we want to get the prospect to verbalize their own reasons for why they want to do something. This is called self-persuasion. This is when you get people to verbalize to themselves why they want to do something. There is no more powerful technique in selling than this. So when you are not the one trying to convince people to do things, when you are the one that is asking the questions that allow prospects, listen closely, to discover for themselves why they would want to meet with you, for themselves why they would want to sell now, for themselves why they would want to do X, Y, and Z. It changes everything. So let me introduce you to the human behavior matrix. So with all human change, with all human decision making, there's always two sides of the equation. Yes, there is change and there's no change. There's doing something or there's not doing something, which is just the status quo. Now, most agents, and I've listened to literally thousands of live cold calls at this point, most agents are making arguments for why prospects should do something. In other words, they're giving their own reason why people should do something. Now, let me just ask you a question. This has been studied for decades, and that is psychological reactance. When somebody tells you to do something, when somebody tries to force you to do something, what do you always do? You are always motivated to do the opposite thing, even if it is not in your best interest. So when someone says, "Hey, listen, don't touch the wall, wet paint," it actually motivates human beings to do just that, to touch the paint. There's all kinds of studies around this. And this is the biggest problem that I'm seeing on cold calls right now, is agents will call prospects and they'll introduce their reason why the person should change. In other words, why they should sell. They'll say things like, "Well, listen, Mr. Prospect, there's no inventory right now. Now's a great time to sell." That's the agent's reason for why the person should do something. Now, even if the prospect wants to do something, oftentimes they respond with "not interested," "leave me alone," "take me off your list," "stop calling me," "why are you calling me?" Or they'll say things like this. Agents will say, "Well, listen, prices are at an all-time high. Are you interested in selling?" "No, I'm not interested in selling." Because the other problem with this type of language is it comes across with something psychologists call perceived bias. Now, think about this for a second. The prospects are not stupid, okay? Just the same way when you are a consumer, like you know when you're about to fall into a sales trap. And so when a realtor asks a consumer, "Listen, prices are at an all-time high. Are you interested in selling?" The perception is that if this prospect responds with any type of interest and showing their cards that they may want to sell, they know this agent will be all over them like a little boy on prom night. And so the prospects are very defensive. They hold their cards tight. They're not going to relinquish any information to this random person calling me. No freaking way. Because you're only asking me this so that you can try to sell me something. You and prospects, everybody knows it. Agents say this all the time. Listen, Mr. Prospect, I'm going to be in your neighborhood tomorrow. Why don't I stop by and show you how I can get your home sold? Right. Like just the stars align and somehow you are just going to be randomly in this prospect's neighborhood tomorrow, right? No, it comes across so salesy. It comes across with so much perceived bias. And it's like, nope, I'm good. That's okay. And so this is what we have to stop doing immediately. So this is where I want to start to introduce you to this idea of pushing and pulling. And so traditional sales training, traditional sales methodology primarily suggests that you try to pull clients, pull prospects towards you, towards change. And here's what we know. I mean, it's Newton's law, right? It's like an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest. And so here's what's going on. So when the agent suggests or makes an argument for why the person should do something, again, AKA change, meet with me, sell, buy, do this for these reasons, they're met with prospects who pull away. So just think about that for a second. If you try to pull somebody, right? Maybe it's a game of tug of war. You're pulling on the rope as hard as you possibly can. What is happening on the other end of the rope? Naturally, the person is pulling back. This explains why we have so many problems on a cold call. It's like you're getting into a tug of war match with prospects on every single call. You call and attempt them to, you try to persuade, convince, sell, influence them to do something. That's you pulling them towards change, pulling them towards a sale. And it's no wonder why you're always met with people pulling back on you in the form of resistance, in the form of objections, in the form of, no, I'm not interested. They pull towards no change. So instead, what we want to do is use the push away technique. So if we look at the behavior matrix and we swap these around, we swap who's doing what, who's making what argument. In other words, if you, the agent, start making the argument for the status quo, for people not to change, it's a psychological hack that if somebody has something, they will fight for it. You see, psychological reactance works both ways. And it's a reflex response. So in other words, when you tell somebody, like we were just talking about before, that somebody should do something, the reflex is for them to not do something. Well, the same is true for the inverse. If you tell somebody not to do something and they have any inkling of motivation, the reflex is for them to fight and start arguing why they should do something. You see, this is the magic in selling. This is the argument for the status quo. So watch, as an example, here's a push away question. Again, all of these push away questions are in my script book. There's a link to it in the description. So the new you, when you're making cold calls, you're going to say things like this. Well, Mr. Prospect, seems like your home has everything. I mean, why not just stay there forever? See, it's very, very rare that salespeople speak in a way that give the perception that goes against their interest. You see, what is the realtor trying to do? Most realtors are trying to get listings, get buyers, etc. When you use language patterns like this, you drop all defensiveness, you drop any perceived bias, you drop all psychological reactance. Because listen to the language. It seems like you have the perfect home. Why not just stay there forever? Doesn't this seem as though this agent is speaking against their interest? There's nothing for the prospect to defend. There is no sales resistance because the prospect or the agent rather is the one making the argument for the person to do nothing. But here's what happens. This is how you get people to use self-persuasion. This is how you get people to fight or make arguments for why they should do something. So again, seems like your home has everything. Seems like you have the perfect home. Why not just stay there forever? You're going to find this is like a magic trick. Prospect says, well, listen, I mean, I wish I could, but I need to downsize. They start to verbalize their reasons for change. Because here's what we know about selling. One of the first rules of selling is prospects never believe what you say, but prospects always believe what they tell themselves. So stop telling people, stop giving people reasons why you think they should do something and ask them a push away question to allow them to fight and to argue their own reasons for change. Here's another one. Maybe you're talking to a prospect and you say, well, listen, rents are at an all-time high. I mean, why not just keep the property and just rent it out for the cash flow? See, again, you're making the argument for them not selling. The prospects, you're going to find this, it's like magic. They say, no way, I can't, we can't be a landlord. Plus, we need the equity to buy our next home. Now, who's doing the selling? This is the easiest way for you to get prospects to do all of the selling, the prospect to do all of the closing, the prospect to respond to all of the objections. Another example, well, why not just list the home with the agent who sold it to you originally out of curiosity? Prospects, you're going to find, well, honestly, I don't even remember who the agent was. You're not making the recommendation that they should hire you. It's the prospect. Here's another example that's not even on the screen. Mr. Prospect, if I could show you how we might be able to get your property sold without all of the stress and the headache, what value, if any, would there be in us getting together for maybe 30 minutes to explore this a bit more? What value, if any, would there be in us getting together to explore this a bit more? And you allow the prospect to verbalize all the reasons why they should meet with you. They start to verbalize the value of meeting with you instead of you trying to say, well, you should meet with me because of this, because of this, because of this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I hope that you're really, really getting this. So to see this really in action, you can watch this video right here with an agent who I'm working with right now, who has mastered the push away technique, and you can see what it's done to his production.